Welcome to the J Spot, the place where we stimulate the most sensitive parts of your brain. Before we get into today's deep dive, I just want to throw a quick shout out to Kaya Hekstrom up in Massachusetts. Happy first birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. A first birthday is a huge milestone.
Yeah.
But looking at our sources today, celebrating it right now on Monday, March 2, 2026, it just feels
It's heavy.
Yeah, incredibly heavy. The global atmosphere is just thick.
Right. And that's our mission for this deep dive. The sources we're looking at today cover everything from massive geopolitical movements to mental health. We really want to figure out how you can bridge that gap between the war room and your living room without just losing your mind.
Because the pattern over the last 48 hours is intense. The sources point to a global synchronization of force that we just haven't seen.
Look at Saturday, February 28th. The headlines were all about these joint U.S.-Israel strikes on Iran.
Right, and it wasn't a small operation. The reports show carrier strike groups 3 and 12.
Which are basically floating cities.
It's exactly. Floating cities of firepower parked right in the region along with F-22 Raptors. And the stated goals in the briefings are regime change and countering nuclear proliferation.
But the footprint is just massive. And then you zoom out, and remember, we're only 2 months past Operation Southern Spear in Venezuela,
where Nicolas Maduro was captured back in January.
Right. So you have these high-intensity operations in the Middle East and South America at the exact same time. But what the sources really highlight is how this bleeds into the domestic sphere.
Yeah, the domestic side is what's really alarming people. You've got National Guard deployments in U.S. cities like Portland for Operation Inflation.
And then there's the FY 2026 budget. It is completely obsessed with the Golden Dome.
The new Continental Missile Shield System. It's essentially the government signaling they expect conflict to reach American sky.
But we have to be clear about what the data shows here. Behind the Golden Domes and the budgets, there's a really brutal human reality.
There is. The reports indicate 2023 set a record for state-based conflicts, and 2026 is already blowing past it. And the sources are very clear that women and children are disproportionately bearing this burden.
Yeah, we're looking at reports of horrific statistics on child amputees in Gaza and rising maternal mortality in conflict zones. War isn't just a chess game.
It's visceral physical harm. But the research also dives into how everyday citizens process this. Even if you're sitting at home, safe from the physical danger, you aren't safe from the images.
Right. The trauma travels through the screen. Obviously, it's not the same as being in the conflict, but the psychological injury is real. Oxford's word of the year was brain rot, and, honestly, it feels clinically accurate.
It is. We're looking at doom scrolling on a global scale. The psychology sources explain that witnessing these social media wars like Ukraine and now Iran triggers vicarious trauma.
Because your brain doesn't actually know the difference between seeing a threat on your phone and being physically threatened.
Exactly. It stimulates the amygdala, putting you in a constant fight-or-flight state.
While you're just sitting on your couch.
Right. And that stuck energy overpowers your prefrontal cortex, which handles decision-making. Dr. Adini Nurkar calls this popcorn brain.
Popcorn brain.
Yeah, your brain is just popping from overstimulation and emotional numbing.
Which makes sense because we scroll looking for certainty. We want that one headline that says everything will be okay.
But algorithms run on infinite uncertainty. So instead of finding safety, you just ramp up your uncertainty distress, which leads to anxiety and symptoms that actually mimic PTSD.
So if the Golden Dome can't protect our mental health, what do the sources say actually works?
They point heavily to this concept of pro-love and community resilience.
Which sounds like a bumper sticker, but it's actually about mutual aid. Solidarity instead of just top-down charity.
Right, it's an active democratic stance. You're building support networks with the people physically around you.
The best example of this from the reports is in Portland. You have these incredibly tense military standoffs with troops in tactical gear, and the protesters show up in giant inflatable costumes.
Frogs, unicorns, T-Rexes.
Yes. From a psychological standpoint, it's brilliant. It hacks the tension with humor and forces humanity back into a militarized space.
It totally breaks the binary of violence. And the data shows practical groups like Food Not Bomb Sharing Meals do the exact same thing.
They build that community resilience. And the clinical studies are clear here. Helping others actually reduces the helper's own depression and anxiety.
So resilience isn't isolating yourself. When the macro-level geopolitics feel out of control, the micro-level community is where you ground yourself.
That is the ultimate takeaway. In a world of missile shields, true security doesn't come from a defense budget. It comes from the person standing next to you. Think about it. If you swap 1 hour of scrolling for 1 hour of connecting with a neighbor, how does your world change?
The J Spot is a Jay Briar Allen production. edited by Jay Rivera, Danielle Reyes, and Gisette Garcia.